What went into the decision to sit Marte today?
Before we came in here, after that he missed the last day in DC with the knee issues that he was having, I told him you're only playing one game there because of the turf. So, you know, that's all to it.
You mentioned after last night's game that he wanted to have a talk with the coaching staff about some of his outfield positioning. Have you guys had that talk, and what do you just think about that whole
Oh
stuff?
yeah, you're always looking for ways to improve. It's not new, and we've been having these conversations. We adjust our positioning cards at times, depending on the matchup, pitcher-hitter matchups, and we will continue to do so. Our group is working really, really hard to continue to put guys in a position for where we feel they're gonna have success. And yeah, yesterday, ball drops, but we will continue to make some adjustments, and yeah.
You guys, specifically, you guys are on the same page, you, coaching staff, Marte, with how
Of course. Oh yeah, 100%. And we'll ask feedback to the players. Like what do you see here with counts? Again, pitcher hitter matchups and things like that, because we want that input. We want the feedback from players as well when we're adjusting and going through our positioning model. So.
Carlos, do you have any more info on Alvarez and when he might be back?
Yeah, so I was told he was flying back yesterday, and I haven't got an update here. But if he got back last night, he should be playing today in Brooklyn.
And how would that affect his schedule for the rest of the week?
Yeah, we'll see. After he comes out today, and see if he plays another game or two, or he's ready to come and join the team on Tuesday. So let's wait till he gets through today, and then we'll make a
We
decision.
could potentially be ready for Tuesday.
I'm pretty sure he's going to fight that. So we'll see.
To follow up on Marte, he seemed pretty specifically unhappy with the positioning. Has he expressed those negative feelings to you guys about the positioning?
Yeah, and look, yesterday when I was checking with him, he mentioned it right away. I was like, man, I feel like I'm playing too much in the gap here. And I said, let's take a look into this, because we've been having these conversations, and we've been adjusting our models, because our group is working really, really hard. And like I said, we will ask players their feedback in some of the situations, some of the matchups, because we need that, we want that. So yesterday was another example of those conversations, and like I said, not only he was very vocal about it after the game, but he expressed that in the middle of the game with me. So.
And with the catchers today, I know it's a little bit of a daily thing right now, but how did you decide on Torrens over Nito this
Yeah,
week?
I wanted to get Louis in there. I know Nito's done a really good job behind the plate, and with Alvarez coming back, we got to make a decision here. And so Louis get an opportunity here and see what we got.
Is that in part you sort of know what you have in Nito, and you're taking a good look at Torrens?
Yeah, 100%. Obviously, very pleased with how Nito's done. He's been really, really good. But obviously, we just got a player that we got to get familiar with and see what we got, and then we have to make a tough decision here pretty soon.
How do their skill sets compare?
What was that?
How do their skill sets compare?
Well, I mean, they're both really good behind the plate. The way they handle the pitching staff, the way they receive, the way they throw the ball. I mean, they're pretty similar, and they both have done a really good job. Louis offensively had a really good series in DC. Nito's thrown the bat well, giving us good at bat. So, like, it's gonna be a tough decision here. So.
How do you evaluate and make that tough decision when you have two catchers with similar profiles?
It's hard, it's hard, and those are some of the conversations that we're having, and we will continue to have, because, like I said, they're pretty similar. They both got experience, so yeah, it's not going to be an easy one.
I just want to check if you're staying in line rotation-wise for the Miami series.
Yes, so McGill will throw Tuesday, and
Peterson.
Sevilla.
Pardon me. Here we are, Francisco. Do the Mets and you approach this game today like it's a must-win, because you at least want to salvage a split of the two-game weekend series?
Every day is a must-win for us. We had a conversation earlier in the year, and every day it's just as important. So it don't matter whether we lost the day before or won the day before. We still got to come out here and try to win the game.
Francisco, what's the mood in the clubhouse today?
It's great. It's great. There's some music and guys are ready to play a game, and everybody's excited. You know, everybody loves to be out here and to play the game, and we're excited to come out and give it everything we got.
With the UK media and footballers, they're usually given a couple of days off after every game, and there's a week between games. So if you maybe lose, you're given a week to sort of process it and get over it. But for baseball players, you go again the very next day.
Mm-hmm.
How do you do that mentally?
Yeah, I mean, you understand that every day is individual, every at-bat is individual, and then you just have to turn the page as fast as you can. Even if you win, you can't just stay on that W. You got to turn the page. You got almost kind of got to have a next mentality. And yeah, we play way too many games, back to back. So we can't really dwell the losses as much as other sports. We got to focus on what we have in front of us. And today we have a new ball game with a new pitcher that we're gonna face, and we got to go out there and compete.
Francisco, what have you thought of coming over here? And is this something maybe you'd like to do every couple of years?
I thought the experience has been fantastic. The atmosphere is great. However, I do think that I feel like we had too much time off. You know, I get it. There's a process of you gotta sell the games and stuff like that. But to me, showing up to plays and playing right away and playing the next day, you know, I think it would have been a little bit more beneficial. It almost feels like an all-star game, like an all-star type festivities, you know, and we in the regular season there, games do matter. So if it was up to me, I would say, fine, let's have the experience. We have had an amazing experience, but just show up and play the next day and, you know, get things done quicker.
So play Friday.
Yeah, that's how I would have done it. But I'm one player versus 765. Yeah.
Hi. As a major leaguer and an international player, how important is it for you to play these international games in Europe, in Asia, in the Caribbean, all over the world?
It's to me, it's extremely important, you know, to continue to grow the game, to make sure the game continues to elevate every single year. It's extremely important. The bigger the game is, the better our game is going to be, and the better our brands are going to be. So I find it very important for our game and for our names as well. And yeah, I love what we're doing. You know, I love that teams are going to different places to play the game and spread the game of baseball. So I find it a good thing for the sport, for sure.
Hi, will you wear special cleats for those games?
Yeah, I had a London Series type cleats. They are maroon, red, yellow, white, that I wore specific for this. I got a bunch of different bats. I just didn't know if I was allowed to use them yesterday, so today I'll be using different bats probably for different at-bat. I have a glove as well, you know. I love having different things for different events, so I'm glad the companies I work with, New Balance, Rollins, and Marucci, they kind of spoil me and give me whatever I have in my head. They put it together for me.
Hi, just want to ask, obviously, with the London series growing here and the 3 series that we've had, including this one, for new fans who are getting into baseball, what would you say is the most, why watch it, why be a baseball fan, why get really involved and have this develop, and what's exciting about baseball for people who don't quite understand it?
Yeah, the way I view baseball is very similar to life. we have a lot of opportunities and we fail a lot, but at the same time we get an opportunity right after we failed. So to me, it's that's kind of how I view the game. I always have opportunity to do better, to continue to grow, and whenever you think you have mastered the game, you haven't really mastered it. You know, you still got to continue to improve, got to continue to be the best you can be, and then there's a year that you have an amazing year, and the next year is going to be tough. You know, so it's very similar to me to life, where you have ups and downs. You just got to find a way to maintain, stay even keel, and learn from your mistakes, and move forward. So the game we have made the game a little faster. You know, it used to be way slower. So now we have the games a little faster pace. There's more action throughout the games. So the game is in a better spot right now. So to everybody that's watching, it's a game of failure, but at the same time you get an opportunity to bounce back. And that, to me, that's how life is. You know, you're gonna fail, but you have the opportunity to be better the next day.
Yeah, just back to what you were saying about how the game could be treated a bit like an all-star break, and do you think some of the players have treated it almost like a holiday? Like, what's been the feeling in the clubhouse, and what have you been doing with your time off?
Yeah, no, I think the players treat it as a all-star day for the first 2 days that we weren't doing anything. You know, we were being tourists. We were in every direction except in the baseball mentality. But then once we're competitors, so once we are at the field ready to compete, everything turns off and it's just winning. So yeah, I don't think the mentality of an all-star break it's happening right now during the games, at least not with me, and I know my guys in my clubhouse are not viewing it like that. But yeah, the first 2 days I was everywhere. So I did feel like I was at an all-star game. You know, there's a lot of things happening, a lot of pieces moving pieces throughout the whole entire day. But once we get here, yesterday, everything it felt like we were back in regular season. You know, it was one of those where it's like, yeah, we're getting introduced in the middle of the year, which it normally doesn't happen. But it's game mode. You know, it's that game mentality. You kind of like hyper focus on what you have in front of you.
Last one, Francisco. Yeah, we're gonna bring Mendoza and Steve Cohen up. They're gonna take a photo together up here for.
Any questions? Just ask Steve.
You're doing well.
And Steve's going to take a few minutes to answer some questions about the London series.
Hey everybody, good to see you. Got to watch the Phillies over here. Prefer the Mets.
We'll start with Mike down here in the front of the line.
Steve, what's your assessment of the way the team has played this season, and what, if anything, has to change?
Well, I mean, we're 9 games under 500, and that's certainly not what we expected and what we hoped for. You know, I do think the team's starting to play better, starting to hit. I'm starting to see green shoots. We got a long way to go, and a lot can happen over a relatively short period of time. And so, you know, we're going to keep plugging, and I think our schedule gets a little easier, and so there are opportunities to gain ground. And so, you know, we'll see what happens.
If this doesn't change, could you see yourselves taking the same tactic last year headed to the trade deadline?
Yeah, you know what it is? I'm focused on winning games right now. You know, we can worry about the trade deadline. That's 7 weeks away. How many games is that? That's 45, maybe 50 games. And a lot can happen, so I'm focused right now on the season, winning games, and we'll worry about that when the time comes.
You had spoken last year about, despite maybe taking a half step back, wanting to be competitive this year. Why do you think it hasn't sort of unfolded the way that you had envisioned it over the offseason?
It's a variability of human performance, right? You can write it down on paper, but then you got to play the games. Frankly, we haven't really put it all together for a consistent period of time. And so, I still think that can happen. Listen, there's a lot of good ball players on this club, and it's just a question of, getting a little confidence, getting on a run. And I think that's possible. And so, it's, how many games are left in the season? 100? It's a lot. Okay, so, obviously, we'll see what, it looks like 4 to 6 weeks from now. And, but, I still feel this team has got a good run in them, a lot of good players, and a lot of good. I think the locker room's good, the culture's good. And so I'm hopeful.
You kind of just hinted on my follow-up, but you said you're focused on the here and now. At what point you sort of have to make a decision as to what your strategy will be at the trade deadline in the second half?
Listen, I know everybody's focused on the trade deadline, right? That's all anybody wants to talk about. We got a lot of games to play. And so, let's not get focused so far out. Let's get focused on what's happening now. We got to win a game. We got to chip away. We're down, obviously 9 games and to get to 500, but maybe, I don't know, what are we, 4 games out of the wild card, which is, we shouldn't be proud of that, right? We're still 9 games under. But, it gives you the opportunity to make the season a success. And so, that's the way I'm looking at it.
A couple of weeks ago, you called the team's performance mind-boggling.
Yes.
You since then unboggled your mind at all and been able to understand what's going on?
Well, it was mind-boggling because of how we were losing in the last inning.
Yeah.
Okay? You can lose games and not describe it as mind-boggling. How we were losing it was, unusual. And so, everyone saw the statistic. I think a week ago they said we'd lost like 6 games from May 1st in the last inning, and no other team had lost 2. And so, listen, you could say, well, if we didn't lose those games, we'd be in a totally different place. But I think what it says is that, that was unusual. It's probably not going to continue, and therefore you can have reason for optimism.
Over the next 4 to 6 weeks, as you said, as you mull the near-term future for the Mets, how much do you weigh pure standings, 4 games out of a wild card spot, as you said right now, versus the likelihood that these Mets can actually make a run if they even got to October?
Yeah. Well, you certainly want to have high standards. If you get into the playoffs and you are 4 games under 500, it's nice to make the playoffs and anything can happen. We know that, but still, you would say, wow, that was not optimal, right? It's probably not the way you would envision it. And so, but I say it again, a lot of games left. And I actually think the team's starting to show signs. And so hopefully, we'll continue to, improve and start winning some ball games.
Right, but if technically, when you have to make a trade deadline decision, you're not too far out of the playoff picture, do you also look at it and say, hey, realistically, maybe the team's just not very good?
You know something? I'm gonna take the recommendations from David and the baseball staff, and I'm not thinking about that now, and so we haven't spoken about it, so we're focused on winning games now.
Is there any aspect of the team's game on the field that has maybe surprised you the most this season?
Well, all the stats are out there. Our defense hasn't been, particularly great, and we haven't really put it all together. When we're hitting, we're not pitching, and so those are the things. To win games, you got to play all facets of the game. And there's room for improvement there, and I'm hopeful that the team starts playing better defense, and our hitting is improved, Our pitching's been reasonable enough. We went through a bad patch in relief pitching, and so we just haven't put it all together. But I'm hopeful that we will.
You've been pretty interactive with the fans this weekend. What is your message to them right now?
Listen, fans they love the Mets, and they came all the way over here. What the hell is going on here? Turn that off. So they came over here because they love the Mets. They care about the Mets. They're in good spirits, right? I was hanging out with them in the pub. We were having a blast, and they're excited about being here, being at the games, and so the fans have been through worse, okay? And so, right, that's trying to break that history. They're great, and they're certainly going to be there for the team.
How do you assess the job that Carlos Mendoza has done so far in his rookie year as a manager?
I'll tell you, I'm impressed by Carlos. He's got an incredible rapport with the team. He's thoughtful. He handles, he's very capable of relating to the players, delivering hard messages when he has to. I'm impressed by how he conducts himself.
Steve, while things could change, you're in the midst of a second straight year of underperforming, I think, your expectations. Institutionally, do you think something is wrong that is leading to this?
I think things are actually improving, Joel. We've got new management. We're in the evaluation phase of, I know what's going on in various parts of this system, the infrastructure, and so I think I actually am pretty optimistic, now these things take time. Unfortunately, you just can't turn the system around, on a dime. But I think we've got a lot of the right people. We'll improve the people in the organization. We're going to have the best and brightest across, whether in the minors or the majors, but that takes time. And I have a great deal of respect for David, and he comes from a winning club. He's demonstrated success in the past, well respected in baseball. Just this first season, even the decision making that's going on in the Mets is a lot sharper, than it's been in the past. Much more concise. Perfect example is, we bring in Louis Torrens, right? And for $100,000 immediately helps us win a game, okay? And when you're fighting for a playoff spot, winning one game or winning two games really matters. So I like what I see, okay? But unfortunately, it's going to take time.
Appreciating that it's going to take time, from 20,000 feet, would it be better for where you want to go to be a seller one more time this July?
Yeah. Listen, like I said, I know everyone wants to talk about. I tell you, it's amazing. It looks like every year, whether, forgetting the Mets, that all anybody wants to talk about in the season. It's not the season, it's the trade deadline. And it's going to come, guys. I'm telling you, it's going to come. And so, whether we like, it'll be here shortly. But meanwhile, I'm going to focus on winning games. And I haven't had any recommendations from our baseball department yet. And so right now we're focused on the here and now and not focused on 2 months from now.
I get it.
Okay.
But I'm asking a tactical question.
Yes.
You know where you want to be within the next 5 years.
Yeah.
Would you be better off one more time sucking it up, taking what's valuable and building for that next 5 years? Because we're asking questions, if you could get into the playoffs at the margins this year as opposed to where you want to be.
Listen, those are tough decisions, right? Obviously you want to build a winning culture, right? And a lot of that is trying to make the playoffs. I'll say it again. I haven't had discussions with David on this. And listen, the ultimate goal is to build a sustainable winner. I've said that. We haven't done it yet. Okay, we had one winning season, and obviously that's not good enough. And so But the other side is, it's not, you get into a trade deadline and, theoretically, you don't know what you're going to get back, right? You don't know, just because, in your scenario, what if the return that you got is kind of marginal, right? So the decisions are not black and white, okay? And so, we're not there yet, and we'll evaluate it when we get there.
Hey Steve, just to switch the focus from London back to New York, what's next for your plans at Citi Field? Is it casino or bust, or would you be open to Ballpark Village in Atlanta or the mighty St. Louis?
Well, fortunately, we're sitting on, like sort of not marshlands, but a low area. We have to make it all work. We need an economic engine if we're going to do something significant, and plus you got to replace the parking. Okay, if you're going to build something on it, well, where are you going to park? And so parking garages to build are incredibly expensive in New York. And so, there needs to be an economic engine. We want to build a hotel, gaming, area that the fans can enjoy. That's the goal. We're going to keep pushing forward. And my hope is that, we're successful.
Hi, just to bring it back to being here in London, obviously we've heard that the field outside is a lot more bouncier than used to be in America.
You said bouncier?
That's what we've
Okay.
been told, yeah.
Right.
There's
Okay.
a
All
lot
right.
more bounce to...
Well, the fly ball that, fell in front of Starling yesterday, that bounced pretty high. Okay, so, that was different.
Yeah, so how do you think, the series can develop here? And obviously being in London's great, but we've heard things about jet lag and different issues. Do you think that affects your team in different ways? And obviously they're quite versatile.
Well, it didn't affect Philadelphia yesterday, so someone's going to win, someone's going to lose. Listen, these guys are used to traveling, and frankly, I think it's actually a nice break. It kind of breaks up, it's a long season, and it gives them an opportunity to be with their families in a sort of unique way. So I'm a big supporter of these games.
And obviously you said you were at the pub yesterday with Mets fans and really seeing everyone around. How are you enjoying being here in London as well, and the London series and what it brings to the MLB in general?
Yeah. Obviously going to the pub was a blast to hang out with the fans. I have an office here. My firm has a very large office here. And so I came in there actually earlier last Sunday, did investor meetings and hung out with my investment professionals. And so I've been here for a week and I love London. I think the food here is fantastic. Okay, I think it's better than New York.
What's your best cuisine? What's the best thing what's your favourite thing to eat? Is it the full English breakfast or?
I tell you, I was on the 10th hole or 11th hole at Sunningdale, and they had these sausages at the Midway House. That was awesome. Okay, a little Coleman's mustard, little white bread on, wrap it around, delicious.
Definitely a great breakfast.
We'll finish up with Mike in the front.
Steve, you mentioned the fans have been through worse, but you look at your attendance at Citi Field, it's down 25% now. Yeah. Obviously, the weather's always a fact, but
sure,
there's other teams in the Northeast, and they're not down that significant.
Hey, listen, it's about winning, right? The weather was terrible. We had, obviously, every time we played in April and May until it broke around Memorial Day, you were there. It was in the 50s and either raining or windy, and the wind comes off the bay. It's not exactly comfortable. But winning solves a lot, and frankly, that's what we're going to have to do, right? New York City is a competitive marketplace, lots to do in New York, and to get fans to come out the stadium, you got to give them a good product, something that they can get excited by, and we've been spotty that way this year. So yeah, that's the way it is.